Hello everyone! I managed to hit Legend rank today with Jellicent as the lead and double tanks in the back. If you follow this channel for a while, you know that I love to run double tanks when I want to climb in the ranks fast, and with this team I got around 260 elo in 2 days. And there are plenty of other leads that works with Bestiodon and Galarian Stunfisk in the back, like Tropius, Pelipper, Hypno, Venusaur and Swampert, but Jellicent is possibly the best lead of them all since it handles other water types and fighters really good with its water ghost typing. And I typically use Galarian Stunfisk as a bait switch in neutral and lost leads to lure out their best Bastiodon counter so that Bastiodon can sweep in the endgame. So now, let's begin with the battles. My first opponent is Elisa Nobile, and she leads with Galarian Stunfisk, so that's where I want to face the Galarian Stunfisk in the lead, because I will win this matchup in all even shield scenarios, going straight Bubble Beam. And I really don't want it against Bestiodon, of course, and I don't want it against my Galarian Stunfisk either, because that's a bait-dependent matchup, so even though I have an attack-weighted one to help with the CMPs, I don't like it. But anyways, she switches into Pelipper, and I know that she's very likely to throw the Hurricane after 10 wing attacks, because I only have one shield, so she wants to force the last shield. So I can confidently just catch it on Bestiodon. And then I farm down, and here I am out of farm down range with only mud shots, so she will be forced to throw her energy on Bestiodon, even though she's going to over farm quite a bit. So here I will come back in with Jellicent, and at this point I just have to trust my Galarian Stunfisk that it can finish the game. So here I will keep spamming the bubble beams, and my opponent will connect with an earthquake, and it's basically a one-on-one shield scenario against my opponent's Azumarill with my own Galarian Stunfisk. So it's actually not that good for me. So here I send in Galarian Stunfisk, and I'm shielding the first one, since if she has Hydro Pump she is going to go with 2 Hydro Pumps. There's no reason to bait if she has it. So I shield the first one, and then she's going straight Ice Beams, so it's still an okay position. It's very even now, and I will go for 3 Rock Slides instead of 2 Earthquakes, because she still has a shield, so shielding 1 Earthquake would might be too much, but she's just able to reach another Ice Beam, and then I switch into my Jellicent, and she switches into her Galarian Stunfisk. At this point she actually makes a mistake where she threw her move after 1 mud shot instead of after 2, because she would have taken damage from 1 bubble either way, so the second mud shot was basically completely free. But then I make a mistake by trying to farm down, because for some reason I thought that I needed a Rock Slide for the Azu when all I needed was 1 more mud shot. So basically we both played that ending very bad, and if any one of us had played it correctly, that player would have won, but in the end she emerged victorious. And then my second opponent is Tero, and he leads with Bestiodon, and this is one of the trickiest leads that you can face, because you do want the Galarian Stunfisk against the Bestiodon, but you don't want to switch since it's very common to have grass types behind the Bestiodon. So I still don't know how I want to play that, but I do switch after 7 smackdowns to my own Bestiodon and try to catch a move, but my opponent didn't throw it. So now I at least baited out the fighter, but it's not a clean fighter, because it does have counter, but it still has some coverage moves. But at this point I will be able to soak up all of this energy on Galarian Stunfisk, because I resist all of the charge moves, so it doesn't matter what he throws here. And now I basically have 2 Pokemon at 60% health with a ton of energy each against his last 2 Pokemon. And his last Pokemon is a Meganium, so it's not really that good of a spot, but I do have 2 shields and a ton of energy, so I will be able to chunk down on this Meganium and shield all of these Frenzy Plants. And I have a ton of energy in the back, so now I will switch into my Jellicent, and he's very likely to shield here since he knows that I have a ton of energy, and he can absolutely not let his Meganium go down. So then he counter switches into Bestiodon, and at this point all I need to do is connect with 1 more Rock Slide on the Meganium. So I will try to deal with this Bestiodon as good as I can with Jellicent and save my shield for Galarian Stunfisk. And Jellicent is actually able to deal with the Bestiodon, And then I can switch in my Galarian Stunfisk and KO the Meganium. And then the third opponent is Kowa K, and he leads with Swampert, which is great, because I resist both of his charge moves, since no one runs Earthquake nowadays. So I will go straight for the Shadow Wall, and either force shields or get rid of my opponent's best counter to both Bestiodon and Galarian Stunfisk. And then he goes for Sludge Wave for some reason, and switches into Galvantula, and then he don't want to play anymore. Then in game number 4 I go up against Eliker, and he leads with Shadow Mawile, and this is a trend that you see, that I win most of the leads with Jellicent, and that's just how the current meta is. Jellicent is very powerful as a lead and as a safe switch, even though it's slightly weaker as a safe switch due to a lot of Sableyes and Umbreons in the back. But anyways, my opponent sends in Wigglytuff, and I can counter switch my Bestiodon, and this is an amazing matchup. Then my opponent comes back with a Shadow Mawile, and I can force a shield. And I'm even going to commit one shield on my own to force his second shield. Because from this range, a Flamethrower will KO the Shadow Mawile since it's so glassy. So at this point, I will be able to deal with pretty much everything in the entire game. I'm going to commit one shield here, since the only way I lose in this position, no matter what his last Pokemon is if he has a Play Rough in that position. But my opponent has a second Charmer in the back, and then they are out of there. Next up is the final boss of the grind to rank Legend, and my opponent is Emirio, and he leads with Galarian Stunfisk. So this is a good lead for me, and I will do like the first game to spam Bubble Beams, and my opponent is likely to switch out, and then I can play it from there. So my opponent switches into Defense Deoxys, which is amazing, because I double resist these counters, and I could stay in, but that would mean that I would have to go into a bait-dependent matchup later in the game with my Galarian Stunfisk. So instead I send in my Galarian Stunfisk here to resist all of his charge moves, and I know that I will be able to preserve alignment if I just connect with an Earthquake. So since they don't shield this, I know that I will be able to farm down all the way without having to worry about any charge moves. And then here I have both shield advantage, energy advantage, and alignment. So I am in a winning position against basically everything that my opponent can have in the back. But he does have a Meganium, which is one of the worst things that this team can face. So I switch in Bestiodon to avoid the Galarian Stunfisk, and then when my opponent sends in Galarian Stunfisk, I switch into Jellicent. And here I will shield the first charge move, because that's obviously not debuffed yet. And then after the debuff, I will save one shield for my Bestiodon, so that I can shield an eventual Earthquake by the Meganium later in the game. And then here I will go for the full farm down, since the Galarian Stunfisk is debuffed now. So I took a risk there, but it paid off. And then I'm able to connect with a Shadow Ball, so I won't even need to use my shield here, because Bestiodon will be able to tank an Earthquake if necessary, and my opponent is out of there. So that is how I hit Legend this season. In a few weeks or months I hope to hit 1000 subscribers, and if you have a suggestion on what kind of video I should do to celebrate it, please let me know. So far the suggestions I have are either to show my collection, or make a team building guide, or to play with my Ludicolo team from my very first video, but other suggestions are definitely welcome. And also several people have asked me when I will start live streaming, and it will likely take a while. I have already started streaming in Swedish in the Swedish National PvP Discord server, but I think I will try to start streaming in English a few times for a smaller audience in the Discord server owned by Homeslice Henry. And he is a great YouTuber that streams frequently and that I like to watch, so if you would like to, you can catch his streams where he will invite you to the Discord server. A link to his channel is in the description, and thanks for watching!